Don't you think it's time? I would whisper love so loudly every heart could understand. But love and only love can join the tribes of man. I would give my heart's desire so that you might see. The first step is to realize that it all begins with you and me. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
Hi, I'm Kaylee Chris, Promotion and Public Affairs Director for WHBC. As Promotion and Public Affairs Director, I've had the opportunity to become involved in numerous community service and programs. I'd like to take a few moments now and share with you some information about a positive program in Stark County that needs you. Many things shape our lives, but for me, I can see clearly how positively my life was shaped because I grew up with a loving, supportive family. I believe that a strong family environment is essential to the future of our children, to the future of our communities. Children have basic needs: to be loved, protected, and cared for. Unfortunately for some children, these basic needs are not met. For some families, the problems in their lives can become so overwhelming that abuse or neglect occurs. This is where the Stark County Department of Human Services enters the picture, because they are the agency legally charged to protect children. When abuse and neglect occurs, the Stark County Department of Human Services intervenes in order to protect the children and to help the families solve the problems which are causing the abuse and neglect. In protecting children, it sometimes becomes necessary to remove children from their biological families and place them somewhere safe until the family's problems can be resolved. Many of these children are placed with foster parents. Foster parents are people just like you who have chosen to reach out to the abused and neglected children of Stark County. Foster parents care for these children on a temporary basis until the children and their parents can be reunified. The Stark County Department of Human Services needs more foster parents, and this is where you can help. I know many of you may be sitting there, your mind's already filling up with reasons why you think you couldn't be a foster parent. But wait a minute. Before you decide, sit back, relax, and listen to what some of the Stark County Department of Human Services foster parents have to say about why they became foster parents.
Well, Jody and I became foster parents because the Lord gave us a beautiful home, beautiful family, and lots of resources, and there's a lot of children who need to be in that kind of environment, and Jody and I felt that we wanted to do our part to help bring some of these children in and give them an opportunity for growth and an opportunity to enjoy life.
I first became a foster parent about 4 years ago. I ran into contact with a young girl who was pregnant, and I felt that I could make a deposit in her life and into the life of her baby. So I went through the different classes of becoming a foster parent, and because of the enjoyment and just the good plans that she started making after she came in contact with me, I decided that foster parenting was something that I could do.
You know, I've been a foster parent only about close to 5 years now. And as I look back, I'm not real clear in my memory as to why I did that. I used to do other things with my spare time and my disposable cash, shall we say, and my energy. And I decided maybe there were other things that I could do. I'm a single person, never had children, never raised any children, and I thought maybe there was a place there for me. So I went to talk to the people at Human Services and asked about being a foster parent, and by the way, did not tell any of my friends I was doing this until it was time for recommendations. And people were very surprised that I would have an interest in this, and I don't regret being a foster parent. This has really been good for me. I have seen kids in a different way. I have seen our society in a much different way than I have ever viewed it before. I'm glad that I have gotten to meet everybody that I have worked with over the last 4 or 5 years. Being a foster parent is not easy. It takes your extra time, it takes your energy, it takes extra money, it takes all kinds of things that used to be yours, and now you have to share. But you know what? It's good sharing.
As foster parents, you become part of a child protection team at the Department of Human Services. You and the staff at the agency work together to protect the child and ultimately to preserve families. To help you in this role, foster parents receive orientation training as well as ongoing training to help you meet the needs of the children placed in your care. Foster parents also receive financial support, a daily board rate, medical coverage, and assistance with clothing. Emotional support is also provided through agency staff and consultation with other professionals in the social service field.
Fostering has changed our family for the good. It's given the kids the opportunity to partake in helping other children who are in need of a loving family.
Being a foster parent has greatly changed my life. Number one, I've learned how to strategize. I've learned that there are many different ways to conquer a problem. I've learned that all children are unique and different, and that you cannot treat any of them the same. And I've also learned that there is hope for every person, every child, and I look forward with great anticipation to the future children that will be welcomed into my home.
Foster parents play a unique role in our community because they invest in the lives of abused and neglected children. They also invest in the future of Stark County. You see, children who learn how a healthy family functions have a better chance of becoming productive, healthy adults who then make a positive contribution to society and to this community.
Janice, you know, when we first got into fostering, it was a decision that was one of the best that I ever made. I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed doing that. I've seen some good things come out of it. And I've seen some positive things, not only in the children that we get in as foster children, but at our own children. Can't you see the difference in even your children at home?
Well, you know, when we first started this, we didn't know if this was a thing to do, but seeing the joy that the kids have had coming in and out of the home, I really made a good choice.
Okay, you know, I guess being single is kind of hard to do this, but we seem to have weathered that storm, and we get our schedules all together, and we do the things that we need to do and get done.
You have to have a book. You have to have a schedule.
Right, we have to have a schedule.
Everybody sticks to the schedule. Everybody has chores. I have older kids, and they help out tremendously. My daughter, as little as it may seem, makes socks. I hate mating socks. So she does that in the morning, and with that and doing the hair, we get the kids out on the buses to school and me to work.
You know, it's kind of hard when they get ready to go home, though, don't you think? To prepare them to go home and to let them know that everything is going to be all right once they get home, because the department has done what they need to do to make their home safe to go home.
Right, and by the kids being here for the length of time that they have made a home here. So it's like leaving one home and going to another. But the reunification with the parents is really important. So we just strive toward that, and we talk about it. And it's sad, but it's for the best.
And I don't know about you, but we try to make sure that they know that they've done nothing wrong.
Correct.
You know, it's important that they know that the situation that they're in right now is not anything that they've done. It's just something went wrong in their home, and our home is a temporary one.
Correct.
Until they can go home. And we just let them know and reinforce that at all times, that you've done nothing.
Correct, because a lot of times little kids, they think, well, I must have been bad. I must have wet the bed. I didn't do good in school, and the reason, you know, that I'm out of the home. So we do the same thing. We talk about, you know, self-positive things for the kids. That it was not their fault. You know, and then when things get better, they can go home.
You know, I don't know about you, but one of the reasons why I became a foster parent is because I knew that there was a need for minorities. I knew that although there were a lot of foster families, there are a lot of minority families, that they were always seeking more, and that some of the children were being placed out of their culture because of that. Right. And I just felt that there was a need for more minorities to get involved.
There is, and there continue to be a need, because if I look at it, if each minority home takes one child, we'll have it licked.
Right, that's right. And not only that, but take sibling groups.
True.
Because you know we get sibling groups.
True.
There are sibling groups, and I just see something positive about that, because once they're taken from their family, they're taken away from their mother, at least if they have a sibling to go with them,
right,
it makes that transition a lot easier for them.
True.
I don't know about you, but I enjoy receiving sibling groups because it's not only easier for them, but it's easier for us.
Right, because they still work together.
Right.
You know, if they're brother and sister and they still look out for each other, they seem to do better.
Yes.
I'm the only string teacher that these kids have, and I start these students in the 5th grade. And they stay with me as long as they play their string instrument through the 12th grade. So these kids literally grow up in my classroom from age 10 to age 18. They become young people here at the middle school. They go on, get their driver's license, ooh, scary, scary, and become young adults before they ever get out of my class. That's a privilege to me, to raise them, so to speak. It's real important that we have a good relationship with mom and dad, so that we can all work together in handling these kids, doing what's right. I always tell the moms and dads there's worse places these kids could be than in my class. They don't have time to get themselves in trouble if they're enrolled in here. I keep them busy. They have practicing and lessons and rehearsals and concerts and so many things. And at the end of those 8 years, I always feel like I've had a real part in helping them grow up to become good citizens. And after all, that is what we do as parents and or foster parents. It is our job as adults to help kids become productive citizens. And whether you have that foster kid for 6 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years, and no matter at what stage, it's still our job as adults to set examples for them and let them move on in life. That's what we do with our own children, is to help them move on. That's what we do as parents. And foster parenting is no different. We want them to be good, productive citizens that have had an example of good adults and good family life. And that's what we do as foster parents, as teachers, as parents.
If I were able to encourage any of the people out there who are considering foster parenting, I would first of all say to try it, because the only thing you're going to do is gain from it. You're going to learn that you as an individual can really accomplish many goals. One thing are the classes that you go through. Those in itself, you learn so much, but I would encourage you, because our children need people. We have children who are hurting. We have children who need temporary homes. And until we decide that we're going to do something about the problem and that we're going to be involved, we as grown-ups really can't say anything. So you out there who are thinking about fostering, but you really haven't jumped over there to try it, I encourage you to try it. Call me if you need a positive ear to talk to. I'm one of them.
Shoes to wear, rope around the moon, like a big white balloon from your heart to mine, candles to light my way, from your
Hello, Natalie Gelfond, Reflections. You've been watching Love Can Build a Bridge, a presentation on Stark County's foster care program. We hope you enjoyed the program and were motivated to inquire about fostering abused and neglected children for our community. With us right now are two people who produce Love Can Build a Bridge, Mary Pratt, foster parent recruiter for Human Services and a foster parent as well. Also, we have with us David Culp, social services supervisor with the department. Thank you both for joining us today. First of all, is there anything both of you would like to reiterate about the presentation and its message?
Well, I would just like to say that its message is very clear. If people in the Stark County community want to do something about preventing or fighting child abuse and neglect, the best way they can intervene in that situation is to become a foster parent with their public children's services agency. And so I would ask them to consider the messages in the program and think about fostering with the Stark County Department of Human Services.
Mary.
Also, although I am the recruiter and I go out and I talk to people, I think it's very important that the community see people who are actually doing that. We didn't want to have social workers pretending to be foster parents or actors per se doing that. So we actually went into the homes of foster parents. And I think that sends a positive message to the community that these are normal, everyday people who are doing something good for the community by being a foster parent.
David, now how many children are in your custody at this time?
Right now, in the temporary legal custody of the Stark County Department of Human Services, we have 809 children. Of those 809 children, 470 of them are in our foster homes. So the rest of them are in homes with relatives or extended family, some residential facilities, and some group homes, and some specialized care.
Now, if a child is taken out of, now are children always taken out of their homes if they are reported to your agency?
No, and I think that's a good question because a lot of people think that's the immediate thing you do. When we establish that there's some level of abuse or neglect in a home, in most cases we don't take the children out of their home. We work with the family intact. We continue to try and protect the child and at the same time keep everybody together by putting some services into that home.
And why do you think that that's important?
Well, I think children are better off being raised in their own families. And we know at the agency that we don't do children any favors when we remove them from their parents when it's not necessary. So we try our best to keep them together.
Now, what services are provided for the biological family and the children?
Okay. There's an array of services that we provide while we keep the family intact. We provide basic clothing, food, and shelter, or either directly or through referrals for the biological family and the children. Something as basic as making sure they get their medical needs met. We provide drug testing for the parents if that's an issue in the family, drug counseling, marital counseling, counseling for the children too, because I think when you're a victim of abuse or neglect, there are things that children need to work through in a counseling session. We also provide parent aid services in the home where we reparent the parent so that they can become better parents and improve their skills. We also have a special unit called a family stability unit where we provide very intensive intervention in the family in order to bring them up from a level of dysfunction to function.
Now, can the parents stay in with this type of counseling after the children are returned?
Well, generally that is the case. If the children are removed, we're also going to be providing intervention both with the biological parents and the children. And in most cases, when we return children to their biological parents, we are still involved as we are with most of the cases where we've never taken the children. And in that involvement, we do provide services such as counseling and all the other things I've mentioned.
That's great, because that way the kid, you don't just take them back and they're just, here they are.
There's a lot of transition then.
That's great. Now, Mary, right now, how many foster homes do you have?
Currently, we have 242 foster families who are fostering for the Stark County Department of Human Services. Our goal eventually, hopefully, in the next 6 months, will be 300 families. We are very concerned about our children who have to be placed outside of our system. So our goal is to have enough families fostering for Stark County that won't have to happen, because that's another fragmentation in that child's life when we have to go with an outside agency. So we're working very hard at that goal right now.
Now, do you have any stipulations when someone inquires about being a foster home that you require for them to have?
Yes, we have some basic requirements for being a foster parent. They must be at least 18 years of age. They can be single or married, and that's an important thing, because I have people ask me all the time, well, I'm single, how can I foster? But they don't have to own a home. They just have to have a place that's safe, that they can be nurturing and caring to care for a child in. They have to pass our screening. We have informational meetings twice a month where we have them come in and get information about our program, and they also have to, they're fingerprinted, because we are an agency that's legally mandated to protect children. So we make sure that our foster families or prospective foster parents have no record. So we do fingerprint them. That's basically the requirements for being a foster parent.
Now, David, how would someone go about reporting an abused or neglected child?
Okay, it's very simple. If somebody reasonably suspects that child abuse or neglect is going on, all they need to do is call our agency at 455-KIDS. And I think the important thing to remember is you don't have to have proof, and your identity is kept confidential. So it's important to be aware of the fact that we exist in the community, and there are answers and alternatives and solutions for families where abuse and neglect are going on.
I thought this was really important that you told me that you investigate every alleged and reported incident.
That's right.
Now, how many children do you have reported every year?
Okay, in 1994 we had 3,064 reports. Those are on families. Okay, so you can imagine that's probably, if you interpret that 3,064 into children, you're talking somewhere near 10,000 children. We investigate every one of those 3,064 reports. In 1995 so far, we have about 2,700 reports, and anticipate before the end of the year to have 3,700.
Is it growing from year to year?
It has been growing from year to year. Some years it doesn't grow as rapidly as other years, but it's continually going up. And so between 1994 and 1995, we see a very increased and dramatic growth. I think one thing to remember is not all of those cases are substantiated abuse or neglect. We average around 51% of those reports being substantiated. But it's also important to keep in mind that the remainder that are not substantiated tend to have some types of needs. And we, in addition to dealing with those 51% that are substantiated, provide some type of intervention, whether it's support services or preventative services to help so they don't get into a situation where they do become substantiated.
Do you think part of that is because of public awareness?
I think public awareness plays a role in the increased amount of child abuse reports. I think that's a big factor. I also think that for whatever reason that abuse and neglect is going on more in our society.
Mary, do you have any specific needs for types of children? For instance, a sibling group, or
currently we have a great need for more minority families. That has been our focus here for the last couple years. We have really been focusing on minority recruitment to recruit more minority families. We still have to place children out of their culture once they're put into custody. And although they receive the same loving care as if they would be with their own race, it's better for the child to be placed in their own race. So we do currently have a great need for minority families.
In addition to minority children, are there any other areas which show specific need for homes?
Oh, we have a great need for foster families willing to foster teens, sibling groups, because we do like to keep our sibling groups together. It makes that transition from their home to foster care a lot easier if we can keep them together. if you really think about it, to be taken from your mom and your siblings all in the same day is quite traumatic for a child of any age. So we do try to keep our sibling groups together, and we need families that are willing to do that. We receive sibling groups of 3, 4, or 5, and we need families that can do that. And they can do that if we have a large enough network of foster families that we don't overload homes by trying to keep siblings together.
Now, is anyone contracted for a certain amount of time, or are they obligated for years and years? I think that's important, that people may just want to know, am I going to write my life away for this?
No, they don't. Some people get into fostering and find out that's not for them, and they immediately recognize that and they get out. Hopefully through our orientation training, though, we prepare our foster families, and by the time they finish our training, they know whether or not they can foster. We have foster families who have fostered for 40 years, some who just for 2 or 3 years. I think that when you become a foster parent, it's something that you're committed to, and you do that until you feel that commitment is over for you. And this is a personal decision how long you do that.
Now, anyone interested in becoming a foster parent, who should they call and what should they do?
They should call me.
They should?
Yes. And they should call me at 438-8789. It doesn't obligate them in any way. I will send them out a packet of information that they can go over it. In that information, they'll be invited to an informational meeting where we'll go over that again and answer all questions that they have. But the most important thing is they should remember the very first step is just to pick up that phone and call me.
Great. I'd like to thank both of you, David Culp and Mary Pratt, for joining us today on Reflections. And this has been a Reflections program with the Stark County Foster Care Program. Thank you very much. I'm Natalie Delpo.